All right, so I am on the yellow trail of Burnt Meadow Mountain in Brownfield. And this trail basically loops around. Kind of get a view. It's pretty open for us. Loops around to the peak, and off to the left here there's another trail that takes you to Stone Mountain. But the reason I'm taping this is that I wanted to show there is a rock slide here on the south side, and it's actually, the first approach to it is actually over to my right here. I bypass that, and then there's a bunch of other approaches for the next maybe eighth of a mile. You can essentially get up there. So I'm going to take this slide up to the South Peak. South Peak opens up to like a nice blueberry field. Maybe we'll see a black bear out there, I don't know. But I'm going to head into the woods right now. And literally this is like it's like a maybe 100-foot bushwhack to get to the bottom of this rock slide. And I don't think I've approached it from this direction before. I usually go up much farther up trail, but I figured I would show people, in case they're curious, a slide that doesn't get a lot of attention here. And again, this is Burnt Meadow Mountain, and it is in Brownfield, Maine. And it's about, I think on the traditional trails, it is probably about a 4 or 5 mile loop if you include Stone Mountain. So I'm gonna make my way left, but you can see this boulder field pretty much covers a huge part of the mountain. So this is, I think, probably something that a lot of people take up. But I'm gonna have to make my way to the left where it opens up to an open field. I'm at around 1,000 feet of elevation. If I'm gonna guess, this slide probably goes up about 400 feet. And as far as slides go in the whites, you can kind of lump them into 3 categories. You've got slides that are full of like what we call scree, which is these boulders that are, all right, well, so before I get into that, I want to make my way over here. It's a little too many trees, so I think what I'm gonna do is make my way up to that section there and then look for a cutover. All right, but anyway, back to the 3 types of slides you'll see. You've got what we call slides that are full of scree, which is very loose dirt and rocks that tend to kind of let loose under you. So to me, those are always kind of tricky. Because you always risk kind of sliding. All right, now I'm actually gonna cut over now. So up here, you can see this little light of day. I am kind of curious to see what's up there, but I also don't want to bushwhack. I want to stay in the boulder fields. So this looks like it chokes out as I go up. So I'm gonna cut over in a minute. But anyway, scree fields, loose rock, slippery. Always got to be wary about things letting loose on you. Examples of scree fields would be the Lincoln slide and the Salt slide on Tri-Pyramid. So those slides are what I think of when I think of scree field slides. All right, so now you can see this opens up right over here. So I'm going to cut across and then up, and this is steep as hell. The next type of slide that you'll see in the whites is, yeah, see, you can, this cutting over here is a little sketchy because it's just loose. I kind of, trees right here kind of cut down the middle. There's an open slide there, open slide here. But the next type of slide is what we call open slab slides. And those are what you would think. They're basically just smooth granite rock slabs that you go up. And when I think of those types of slides, I would, all right, so Stone Mountain is up there. That's that peak. We're going to the south peak of Burnt Meadow. So open slides, what I would think of is like the Tri-Pyramid North slide. And then the other good one is the Arrow slide on the Hancocks is another open slab slide. And then the third type of slide is this deal here, which is basically boulder fields. So this is like an absolute perfect example of a boulder field slide. I mean, it's just big. You know, you'll see this from the cone of going up Mount Washington. You know, another example is like the Daniel Webster Scout Trail is basically a boulder field like this. But there's a ton of them coming up like the cone of Jefferson. So this is just all rock slide. The trail that I entered is maybe about 100, 150 feet out. And these boulders are all wedged in pretty tight. Every once in a while you'll get a loose one, but for the most part, you can pretty much just make your way through. I'm always kind of weary of snakes popping out on me or rocks loosening up, but for the most part, it's pretty good. Now I'm thinking about my route the whole time. Eventually I got to cut back over to the right, but this is the open one that I like to use the best. Matter of fact, that right there is a lot of times where I'll come in because the trail approaches pretty close to this section here, but it's more fun kind of coming. That's where I came from. So, and I don't think, I mean, maybe some of the local hikers will come up here, but I don't think anybody climbs this. I mean, I've definitely never seen anybody on this. I've taken my daughter and my nephew up here, and I do tell people, like, I don't like to gatekeep because I think we've got huge problems with you know, crowds around the 4,000 footers and stuff. So as much as, like, yeah, I'd love to keep this kind of quiet, you know, if you're looking for something that's like a lot of fun and a hard hike, I mean, this is, you get this anywhere in the Whites, and this is like right outside North Conway, Freiburg. Just as easy to get here from like Massachusetts as it is to get up to, oh shit, almost fell, up to the Whites. But yeah, you can see this is where I've come from, and I'm gonna make my way up. Now it's just a matter of just picking up my routes. I have noticed that as I get higher up, you can see more of these smaller rocks, and these tend to be a lot looser, as you can hear me walking on them. And when I try to walk on them, what I try to look for is, like this is a good example, like, you know, that's gonna be loose. So I wanna look for something that's pretty well positioned on the ground, or if I think it might be loose, step in the middle so that you're not gonna move it off balance. All right, so now you can see, as you're looking at these, you always wanna kind of look, try to see the light of day. So up here, it opens up quite a bit. So, and over this section, you can still see a bunch of trees. So that tells me over that corner there, over here, is likely gonna be more boulder because there's no trees sticking up. So I'd like to go through here, but it's too many trees. So I'm gonna basically loop around this big tree right here and make my way up through there. So when you're doing these, you definitely want to take a little bit of time to think through how you're going to maneuver your route. And again, I've done this probably about 10 times, so it's pretty easy. So you can see that's the tree I just pointed to, making my way around. And for me, I mostly just want to be able to clear this this line of trees that goes down. You can see some pretty good views. This is where I came up. I'm at 1,100 feet. So I've come up about, probably about 150 feet on this boulder slide. Definitely the rocks are getting looser, but it's pretty steep. So I'm gonna shut down for a minute, make my way through here. You can kind of see up there, there's even more. So technically I could go through here. Matter of fact, I'm gonna do that actually. I'm gonna stay on this side because I don't think I've done this side in a while. So I'll make my way through. This actually looks a little bit easier. Or I can at least, when I say easier, what I'm thinking through is the more visibility I have to pick out my route. Oh yeah, matter of fact, it's straight up there. That's where I'm going. But you can see the rocks are a lot smaller, which means they're going to be a lot looser. So you can kind of think in terms of, now you can see, you can almost like, I came that way. So think in terms of, if the rocks are small, the scree field is going to be loose, right? If they're big, it's pretty likely they'll be more stable. But I'm going to put this down, make my way up, and then I'll start videoing again. So hopefully you enjoyed this. I'm having fun.